Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about Magic, Commander, and anything else, while we try and bring this whole mental health thing back to where it should be, and not off in the gutter like mine is. Now, I did take last week off, because I came home sick on Friday, and I basically slept all weekend. I'm still not feeling 100%, if you can't tell from the way my voice is right now, but I do feel better. And boy, howdy, did I pick a good week to come back. I don't know if you've seen, but apparently Wizards of the Coast has partnered with Nickelodeon, and they are going to be doing a Spongebob SquarePants Secret Lair. Now, I can tell you, I do not care about this. All I care about is the implication that Wizards of the Coast is in contact with Nickelodeon. There is one thing from Nickelodeon that I would like to see as a Magic set. Not even just a Secret Lair set. I want a full Universes Beyond set centered around Avatar: The Last Airbender. And its spin-off series with Korra. I want that. I don't care what else they might get from Nickelodeon. I just want that. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of nostalgia here they could tap into. I mean, Nicktoons has been around since the 90s. There's so many things they could do. I mean, they have access to Doug, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy. They could have a lot of fun with that one. Rocko's Modern Life, Ah Real Monsters, Hey Arnold, The Angry Beavers, Cat Dog, The Wild Thornberries, The Fairly Odd Parents, Invader Zim, The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Danny Phantom. That's actually another one I'd actually like to see brought into Universes Beyond. All I'm saying is there is a lot of stuff that we could get access to if Wizards of the Coast and Nickelodeon decide that this is a relation that they want going forward. Personally, I really just want the Avatar, as a main set. And that's really all I have to say about it. Now, there was one other thing that was announced recently, and that is a change to how combat damage works. So, anybody that's been around for a long time knows that combat damage used to go on the stack. Then they changed that. The way combat damage worked after that was after you assign an attacker, your opponent assigns the blockers, but then you order the blockers in the order that you want them to take damage in. So if you're attacking with a 5/5 and they attack or they block with something with 4 toughness and 2 toughness, you could order it so that the 4 toughness creature died first and the 2 toughness creature would survive. But apparently moving forward with Foundations, which is coming out next month, I want to say, combat damage will no longer be decided that way. They're actually just cutting out that middle step of you assigning the order of the blockers, and instead you just skip right to you saying, oh, this one's going to take 4 damage and this one's going to take 1. So you just assign damage. And I get where this would, make competitive play a little faster, because you're not sitting there going, oh, if I order blockers this way. What this really does throw a wrench in is actually combat tricks. So, the way an opponent could use a combat trick to save one or multiple creatures, because if they ordered the blockers in a certain way, they have to do at least the minimum damage to kill that creature. So you could save the second creature by making it take everything to kill the first creature, or you could overpower the first creature to the point where it would survive that creature. Now you just have to wait for them to assign damage, which means you don't get that option anymore of being able to, like, save the second creature because they just split the damage. So, I don't know. Do I think this is going to massively change how I play? No. Do I think this is massively going to change Commander at all? No. I think maybe the CEDH community might have the most impact from this just because of how technical their play is. But that said, I don't think it's going to really affect us all that much. Anywho, that's all I have for that, and I will be right back with, I don't know, a thing. And welcome back. Now, today I've been looking through some decks, and I found my Caesar Legion's Emperor, or as they say in Fallout New Vegas, Kaiser, because they have no idea. Now, Caesar is 1 and Mardu, so red, white, black, for a 4/4 human soldier. And he has the ability, whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, choose 2. The first one is, create 2 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens with haste that are tapped and attacking. The second one is, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And the third one is, Caesar Legion's Emperor deals damage equal to the number of creature tokens you control to target opponent. So, he wants tokens. He clearly wants tokens. So I built this with a main theme of tokens and a sub-theme of attack triggers. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is my quote-unquote unofficial commander is actually Ishin 2 Heavens as 1. It is Mardu, so red, white, black, for a 3/4 human samurai. If a creature attacking calls a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So now you're asking, well, how many attack triggers are there? Well, a lot. But let's start with Ash Party Crasher. A red and a white for a 2/2 human peasant with haste and celebration. Whenever Ash Party Crasher attacks, if 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Ash. This doesn't seem that good. But when you start putting 2 counters on her a turn because you are just making so many tokens, she can grow out of hand exceptionally fast. Speaking of growing out of hand exceptionally fast, we have Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin. 2 and a red for a 1/2 goblin. Whenever Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. So this kind of dips into both, where A, it's making itself bigger, B, it's doubling up with Ishin triggers, and C, it makes tokens that we can sacrifice to Caesar to make tapped and attacking tokens. Next up we have Elder Arthur Maxon. 1, a white and a black, for a 4/2 human knight. Creature tokens you control have training. This means whenever a creature token you control attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on that token. It also has the ability Blind Betrayal. Sacrifice another creature, Elder Arthur Maxon gains indestructible till end of turn. So the way this works with Ishin is this gives all of our tokens training. Training is an attack trigger, which means Ishin can copy it. Now, the next two aren't necessarily things that Ishin cares about, but more there for getting tokens into play and finishing the game. The first one is Rhea Eivor, Bane of Bladehold. 2, a white and a black for a 3/4 Phyrexian Knight. It has Battle Cry. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, the next time target creature would deal combat damage to one or more players this turn, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, create that many 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. So again, it's there to flood the board with tokens. Those tokens have a way that can end the game relatively quickly, especially if we just amass a ton of them. And then I ended up with a good chunk of legendary creatures, and so I ended up keeping Colonel Autumn in the deck. 1, a white and a black, for a 2/3 human soldier with lifelink and exploit. So that's whenever it enters, you can sacrifice a creature. Other legendary creatures you control have exploit. And whenever a creature you control exploits a creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So, the way this works is, you play him, you sacrifice a token, all of your other non-token creatures and token creatures get a +1/+1 counter. Then you cast your next legendary, you sacrifice another token that maybe you just made, and you grow your team again. So every time you play a legendary creature, you're just making your board that much more harder to deal with. But yeah, so that's kind of a lot of the Ishin stuff out of the way. I mean, there is like Wingmate Rock, which is 3 white for a 3/4 bird with flying raid. When it enters the battlefield, if you attacked with a creature this turn, you make a 3/4 bird creature token with flying, so it satisfies, the wanting to make tokens. And then whenever it attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature, so you can double up on the life gain, which helps offset paying life to draw cards with your commander. We got Leonin War Leader in there, 2 white for a 4/4 cat soldier. Whenever Leonin War Leader attacks, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. We got the Hero of Bladehold, 2 white for a 3/4 human knight with Battle Cry. Whenever it attacks, you put 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. We have Zigrave Titan, 4 black for a 6/6 giant with Death Touch, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, create 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. We even have a Hanwar Garrison in here. 2 and a red for a 2/3 human soldier. Whenever it attacks, you put 2 1/1 red human creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. And then Sky Knight Vanguard, a red and a white for a 1/2 human knight with flying, and whenever it attacks, you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token that's tapped and attacking. So that whole slew of cards there, it's just the bread and butter between my commander and my secret commander. They attack to make tokens, which Caesar cares about, and then they attack to make tokens, which Ishin cares about. So, yeah. We ended up throwing the Securiton Squadron in here. 1 and a white for a 2/2 robot. It has Squad for 3. So that means for each additional 3 you pay, you make a copy of this. It has Vigilance, and whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So the way this works with Squad is, say you cast this for 2, but you have 6 mana left, so you make 2 token copies of the Securitron Squadron. So now you have 3 of them that see each of them enter the battlefield, which means there's a lot of triggers of putting a +1/+1 counter on a thing. There's 3 of them. So the first one gets no counters, but the next 2 each have 3 counters. And for every additional 3 you pay, essentially they each get an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So, yeah. Very nice card. It's a very, after the board's been wiped, we can, rebuild with this, and then every token we play after that just has a ton of counters on it passively. Now, there are a few things that are kind of related to the commanders that aren't necessarily creatures, like Fervent Charge, 1, and Mardu, so red, white, black, for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +2/+2 till end of turn, so with Isshin out, that becomes +4/+4. We have Assemble the Legion, 3, a red and a white, for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put a muster counter on Assemble the Legion, then create a 1/1 red and white soldier creature token with haste for each muster counter on Assemble the Legion. So this is very much a Caesar card. Just, if you can go turn 4 Caesar, turn 5 Assemble the Legion, and then turn 6 Explode, that's honestly a great way to go. Now, I threw in a Cultist of the Absolute. It's black for background enchantment. Commander creatures you own get +3/+3, have flying, death touch, and ward, pay 3 life, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. So, pretty self-explanatory. This helps Caesar get in and attack himself more. And we're basically always going to have a token to sacrifice. So it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer. We also threw a Ruinous Ultimatum in here. It's red, red, white, 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 black, black. For a sorcery, destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. That's really one of the best finishers we have, is just go wide and then Ruinous Ultimatum to, smack everybody in the face. But we do also have some aristocrat style stuff in here. I mean, you can't really do tokens without some kind of aristocrat stuff, especially in black and red and white. But first up, we have Bastion of Remembrance, 2 and a black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, and whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So that is another way we can offset Caesar's life drain. We lose 1, then gain 1, and everyone's happy. Now, arguably the 2 best enchantments in the deck are Impact Tremors, 1 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Impact Tremors deals 1 damage to each opponent. And Goblin Bombardment, 1 and a red for an enchantment. Sacrifice a creature, Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to target creature or player. And that's kind of the gist of the deck, and where I'm probably going to stop this. Now, I have been working on getting my deck lists updated and onto Moxfield. That said, I don't know when I'll have Caesar up there. It is something I want to work on. And then, you can find the link to, everything in the description. It just links to my link tree. But that said, I'm going to call this here, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulpey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.